Hello, senators and legates. Welcome to Total War Tactics. Today, we are going to take a closer look at a tactic which has shown to be very effective in real life. But now, we need to figure out if it's good enough for Total War. As you can see, we're going to be doing this in Rome 2 with the Divide Et Impera mod enabled. We are going to be covering a tiny bit of historical context, the theoretical formation and how to execute it, army composition, how to use it in game, and how to defeat it. And also a bonus versus transport fleets. If there are any parts of this video you want to see, there are timestamps in the description for you to use. But with that said, let's introduce the tactic Naval Edition. In modern day naval warfare, it is all about big guns, submarines and much more, which I'm not too familiar with. But those things didn't exist in ancient antiquity. Back then it was all about ramming arrows or, depending on how far you go back, boarding. But that is all a bit micro-intensive. In terms of tactics, there were only two main ways to proceed. Breaking through the center for your galleys to circle around and hit the enemy from behind. This is known as the Equors or something, whereas the second method, Periplorus, mainly focuses its attack on the flanks as if they were trying to close a book. This basically sounds just like a land battle, where most tactics focus on getting around the flanks, and in a way, that is exactly how the ancient Greeks approached such battles. That phrasing is a good way for new people to learn the basics of naval warfare. But if you want to understand such tactics on a more advanced level, you need to think a lot more about the finesse and movement of ships. And with that said, let's change the topic to the formation and overall execution of naval warfare. So, as I doubt anyone actually plays naval multiplayer outside of campaigns, I'll just be showcasing this against the AI, and as the AI is dog shit, this is gonna be like shooting fish in a barrel. The tactic I'm gonna be using today is the one Hamilcar used against the Romans at the Battle of Cape Egnomus. This might surprise some of you as Carthage actually lost this battle, but I wanna save the more spicy tactic for a later date. Carthage, the seasoned and experienced naval war machine, had won many battles at sea and acquired great experience in ramming technique. This is the main reason I trust this tactic. Hamilcar deployed his ships as following. He made 3 groups, a 2-column left and right flank with a single file center. The latter role was to ram in the center, hoping to break their ships or at least pin them down. The flanks will do as their name implies, get around the enemy formation and hit them from the side. Simple. But a thing I really want to talk about, which is the main problem for most Total War players, apart from all the glitches of course, is their ships getting stuck in one massive blob. The key to avoiding this is movement. Galleys are fast moving in just one direction, ahead. It takes time to turn, and rowing backwards, although possible, is extremely slow. After your ships has rammed the enemy, move them through the enemy lines in whatever side is the fastest. Of course, your ships can also stay there and prepare for a second ramming on the enemy ship, but now it's just as likely to get boarded, leading to disaster. Move them through is the best choice in my experience. This gives them space to turn or attack one of their more vulnerable ships. Other than that, there isn't much to talk about here. Let's go over to the army composition instead. As this is a naval special edition, I've taken my time to find the strongest naval faction in the game. The Ptolemies, Athens and Seleucids are unmatched in strength with only very minor differences. They are closely followed by Carthage, Rhodes and Rome, who all have strong navies, but with a few minor ships putting them behind the others. I should also give an honorable mention to all the Greek factions, as they have ramming ships, which makes them good. But let's not talk about the barbarians, they are completely trash. But with that said, I'm gonna be showcasing this tactic as Athens fighting Egypt on 25,000 funds. Our general needs to be safe, so we're gonna pick the biggest possible ship. In terms of melee ships, we're gonna start off with 6 fire pod ships, as they are excellent in flanking and ramming. They can take down most ships in one hit. On occasion a second attempt is needed, but that is fine too. For our center we will have 4 assault tetraries and 3 pentaries, for their large size and decent crew capacity in case of boarding. That leaves us with 6 slots. You can put in anything you want here, as they just need to be on the flank. I've just chosen 2 of 3 different missile ships to max out our funds. And with an army chosen, let's see how it performs. Okay, so I'm gonna do some live commentating over this first battle here. As you can see, right now I'm just moving my army forward against the AI, just so they can get their proper targets and keep the movement going. The AI has formed up in a much wider formation than I expected, so our tactic is pretty much not usable. I need to just ram them, but I'm still gonna try to send our missile ships out on the flanks just to try and get that same effect as we're going for. The overall engagement begins on the left flank, where we're starting to fire at their ships. But now our fire pods are slowly getting in range, and you can see they're starting to hit excellent ramming. Only one of them surviving. Up on the right you can actually see an excellent example of moving through a ship just so they can charge another ship, so they get broken down. While even further up you can see a ship just moving all the way through the enemy lines, so they can turn around and attack one of the missile ships from the enemy. And as you can also see, the center completely broke by our instant ramming. They had nothing to support their first engagement. The only one who actually made it through was their general, and now their flanks are slowly starting to get destroyed. So if you want to know how to defeat this tactic, all we need to do is take a closer look at the Romans who fought Hamilcar at the before mentioned battle that inspired the tactic. First off, form up with reserves to intercept the flanking units, and second is to board the ramming ships so they can't use the advantage. It's simple as that. Other than this, it's just about experience of moving around ships. There isn't really that much else to this. So why don't we take a look at how to deal with transport ships as well, now that we are talking about navies. Okay, for the naval tactic here against a transport, it is much like fighting an actual navy. Except here you really need to learn how to use the ships, how to maneuver them. So like, for example here, I only have 10 ships with me, and I've set them all to ramming, and they're basically going for each target on the front lines for my enemy. This is taken from my own campaign actually, as Naval there on the Hannibal at the Gates. On the Hannibal at the Gates map. I'll actually have it on my YouTube channel. I will have it soon. But basically, the ships, they're moving forward to ram, and hope as these are transport ships, they should go down in one single hit. And you can see this as they are moving close here. This one ship here actually doesn't get destroyed in one hit, but you can see many of the others, they are just going down. And here you need to move them through the lines wherever there's space. You can see that with my general ship and the other ship here, going for the enemy wherever there's space for it, just slowly going through the enemy lines. And we really want to go down to those skirmishers at the back, because their slingers are the only real threat to us. The infantry, they're never gonna get into combat with us, they're gonna get destroyed by our ramming speed. But the slingers, they can still hit us while they are alive. There's also something going on in the background against my supply ship. I didn't notice that when I fought this. That explains why it got destroyed. But basically, many of these ships here are already getting destroyed. The second army, that's also a transport, is slowly getting over towards us, but they are so slow that they can't reach in time. Here you see one of my ships that I used as a reserve can now go in and hit this ship here, because they got boarded like I mentioned was one of the main problems. staying in combat because it didn't move it out. And this basically leaves one entire army destroyed, with 3 ships left, but many of them will be destroyed by a few of my own ships that's still available and formed in that direction, while my other ships, they will start forming a new line to face the new emerging threat, which is the new army. These guys in the back here, they're never gonna be a problem, in this one here at least. And here you can just see one of the many problems with naval maneuvering. They're just getting stuck on each other. That's a problem. It's my fault because I'm keeping them too close to each other. But basically, now, as we're facing the second army, we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna charge in, ram them. This is an army with, or a unit with 2 ships to fit all the units on them. This is the first time I've seen that actually in this game. I know it was part of the original launch, but I've never seen it in game. But you can just see my units go in, hit them from the side, take them down. Look at those 2 there getting demolished in a one ramming. We have another ship here just going in to hit another enemy ship that's just being protected by a destroyed one, but it doesn't matter, we can just go through it. That's quite funny actually. I didn't know that happened. But here you can see on the other side, our units, they are finally done, so they can turn out here, get up and help. While my other ships, they're slowly attacking and take them out. We're going for the skirmisher ships, they are still alive. We will take them out eventually with a second ramming, but here we see another problem with them staying there. My other ship, they just get stuck on each other here because they accidentally move into each other. It will be sorted out because I'm gonna move the other ship down to face the last 2 units, so now there should be space. You can see here. And here, this last ship at the bottom, they are gonna ram, forcing the other ships to start wavering because now they are outnumbered in terms of ships. And they are transport ships, so they couldn't hold on for much longer than that. And this, now it's just pure slaughter. I'm keeping on fighting because I need to take them out to win a battle afterwards in the campaign. So this was basically it. I'm just gonna fast forward to the end of this battle so you can see how few casualties actually took and how much we were outnumbered. Like, we are finally here. It was a heroic victory. We only had about 1,000 men and the enemy they had about 6,500 mostly. I think a few of them survived, the ones who took out my supply ship. But all the main ships, the one who actually did all the fighting, they survived. Can you see how important this is? Maneuvering, it is key. I really recommend learning the skill for naval warfare. Just if you want to fight, for example, if you are a Greek faction in Greece and you are trying to defend Apollonia from Roman invasions, you can just keep one navy there with about 6 ships or so. Not even, because like this was way more than I had way more ships here than I actually needed. It was certainly good, but it wasn't needed. But they can take out an entire army on their own. It's like crazy how strong navies are to deal with armies and transport. So I recommend learning this. With that, let's move on. With all you've seen now, I hope you've learned a bit more overall on how to fight naval battles. If you come this far as well, I'd like to hear what you think about naval battles in general. Do you think it's good or really glitchy? Are you sad it isn't part of modern Total War games? I certainly am. Also, I'm still having minor audio difficulties. My voice seems to cut out on occasion whenever I'm recording, but hopefully it will be sorted out for the next time, where we will take a look at a tactic inspired by Napoleon himself. But with that said, goodbye and spread happiness.